friends. So, getting ready for today. And here I am with the last day of the Woman Wisdom Mentorship registration. And it so happens to be that it's the day, completely unplanned, as is everything, that I am starting again. Well, I've been teaching online, but starting again in studio teaching bar classes, and also coming back into providing content on the Bar Intensity platform, and just like coming back into the humanness of movement and sort of that day-to-day routine scheduled life. And so I'm braiding my hair, which is what I do when I film and when I teach. And I am reminded of how perhaps in Native cultures, I'm sure that the braid represented a lot of things, but there's a merging that happens when we braid realms together. And so I'm braiding my hair, and I receive this understanding, because here I am feeling like, oh, it's the divine feminine and the womb wisdom, and then there's this bar thing happening. So a part of me feels like, but those are two separate things, and it's gonna confuse people, and it's actually not even about that. It's more about me confusing me. And it clicked. It clicked that the braiding of a hair is a representation of a merging of worlds that we are all living in. And this is something that I've lived and dealt with in my life for many years, from the very beginning of my awakening, is that to me, in my eyes, I lived two separate realities. It was the spiritual path that you sort of keep on the DL. Well, I did, because it didn't fit my grounded 3D practical life. And then the 3D practical life, which for me was always fitness, nutrition, mentorship, meditation, right? And they never merged, because in my eyes they were separate. And so today I wake up and all of these things happen at the same time, with the Woman Wisdom Mentorship registration and the bar just completely coming back together in the same moment, literally. And then I realize we are the mergers of realities. We, as more specifically, I'm going to speak to women carrying wombs, understanding that the womb is the birther and the creator of the reality from which we live in. And not only we individuals, but we birth the reality for everyone around us. And so here we are in this transition of humanity, right? Like these next 7 years are completely pivotal. Like they are the foundation of what we are stepping into as a humanity in the next era. And who do you think is going to create that foundation? Right? We're doing this together. By no means do I ever want to give any sort of idea that we are separate, or we can, as women, do this alone. That's not possible. And there's a lot of information that I've created to support that. So it's not like you can just jump in and be like, oh, we're gonna birth the reality alone. It's not that. But there's a very specific role for women when we anchor into our wombs for this next generation. And let me just be very clear, right? Because here I am thinking that I'm living two separate lives and realities. And so, you know, one night, for example, very literal example, 2 nights ago, I have to meditate for 3 to 4 hours. And then the next day I have to wake up and I have to film a bar class. And then at night I have to provide an event of sound healing, right? So in my mind, I'm like, whoa, like what just happened, right? I'm living out there for 4 hours, and then I have to like sleep to recover to come back into my body to teach a bar class where I have to pick up weights. Which to me, by the way, that took many, many years to be okay with, because that was something that was very hard for me to sort of digest and integrate. It threw me out of my body and all those things. And now I'm realizing if I don't do that, if we don't do that, what do you think our generation after us, these little kids that are being born, do you really think that they're gonna live anything different? Like, it just occurred to me today, I'm like, what do you think these little kids are gonna live? They're gonna live exactly what I'm living. They're going to probably either meditate, for hours or whatever, days at a time maybe, or maybe to them it'll be a different experience. They're gonna be out of body and then they're gonna be in the body. But at some point, it's all gonna be one. And I just found it so funny that I've been myself resisting that aspect of myself. Like, I've even created 2 separate Instagram accounts, because the spiritual stuff is on one side and then the fitness stuff is on the other. And today is a day where I say no more. Because the Divine Feminine, as always, every time there's a registration, every time she sits me down and puts me to work, it's never logical. The process is never logical. When you open your heart and your womb to accept the teachings of the Divine Feminine, you will never know what she has for you. Because you're not supposed to. Because she's not going to just give it to you. That's the way it is. A rose does not just bloom the day that you... Aloha, Tracy! Aloha, everyone! Kelly! You buy a rose or a flower or a lily. It doesn't just open when you say open. Let me see all of you. It doesn't work that way. So as we commit to getting the rose or getting the flower and watching it bloom and nurture it and give it water and give it love and just have it in our presence and look at it, as the days and weeks follow, then she will show herself to you when she feels it is ready. When she feels that she's ready. There's an intelligence behind that process. And so she will always meet you where she's at. So let me just come out of that sort of dynamic of an example. Real life example is that I never know what I'm going to be taught through any mentorship process. When I open the doors, I'm diving into the oceans, and I'm like, okay, teach me. And what I've been learning this time is that there's an integration that needs to happen, and there's a merging of worlds that needs to happen, more specifically with every single woman on this planet. Because we have been taught, and I just heard this within the last 24 hours, by many, many spiritual traditions. We have been taught, and this is not to say that it's wrong, or it's not to say that it doesn't work. I'm saying that it hasn't been my example, my experience in my human body, and I'm seeing it's not what's happening with a lot of women, and we are feeling like it's not okay. Like, I felt that it wasn't okay for a very long time, hence why I tried to live 2 separate realities. So what I'm seeing and hearing is that in the spiritual world, we live from the heart up, right? We live in the upper chakras because we can just bypass the lower chakras. There's no need. Let me tell you something. Let me just be very, very clear and honest, because the Divine Feminine, I feel like she's just like coming through me and she's like, listen, bitch, it ain't happening like that. If you don't ground yourself into your body, you ain't going nowhere. It doesn't work that way anymore. The templates and the blueprints of the earth and our human body, and I say this because I tune in, I am asked to go in. I am asked to go into deep states of meditation to retrieve information and then bring it back together. And it's the first time that I'm okay to say that, because it sounds so out there. And now in 1 hour I have to, teach a bar class, and I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, yeah, this is the new world. This is the new earth. But you know what? If we don't ground it into our bodies, and we're not okay with coming down into the womb of our essence, we're not going to ever integrate anything. And so we are literally, as women, the mergers of reality. Of maybe for you it's not the seen and unseen. Maybe for you it's just understanding that there is something inside of you, some essence, some magic that can be expressed. For me, I go into meditation and I bring that in, and now I'm just pouring it into my bar classes. Before it was like 2 separate things. Now I'm like, Bring it. Let's do a grand plie. Let's do some push-ups, and I'm going to talk to you about your heart center, and I'm going to talk to you about the importance of moving emotions and energy through your body, through movement, right? That's me, that's my experience. But coming back to this understanding and this thing that's being repeated that I'm constantly hearing now, that, oh, in the spiritual, once you're ready, once you're spiritually awakened enough to receive and understand, what we do now moving forward is that we work from the heart up. We don't focus on the lower chakras. It doesn't work that way, and it's not feasible. And and that's the aspect of the divine feminine in her sort of like, in her power, she will show you that is a completely out of body, distorted masculine understanding that was needed at the time of when spirituality started to arrive on this planet. And if we don't start to merge, and yes, at some point I can tell you for a fact that there are templates that in the future timelines for humanity, our energy centers collapse, absolutely, and then we just become the high heart. And I talk all about that in my Ascension course. I'm very well aware of that. And until we get there, we have to work through the centers and we have to anchor in. And as women, we have a very, very specific responsibility in doing that. So tell a woman who has birthed a child, tell a woman who has experienced an abortion or a miscarriage to just stay in her heart and to just unite with everyone around her and just worry about the upper chakras. Tell her that and see what happens. It just doesn't work anymore. And so as we birth this new era of humanity and we start to activate our creatrix codes, right? Because this is exactly what we're living right now. We're living the activation of the creatrix codes. And what that means is that this process that I've always understood to be separate is actually one. What we call the spiritual awakening, what we call the ascension, what we call the activation of the light body, it has to happen together with the divine feminine, because it is the divine feminine that is birthing the new templates of reality. It's bizarre, and at the same time, it's happening inside our bodies. So literally, unless we start to ground in our bodies and accept the fact that there is a portal of creation in our wombs that we need to not only understand, but honor and connect and tune into, how are we gonna birth the new earth, quote unquote, or the new realms? And they're being birthed right now, by the way. But you're going to see that the younger generations are not gonna live the lives that we have up until 2020, right? 2019. They're not gonna live that life anymore. They're already not living it, right? The systems are already falling apart. And who do you think is going to birth the new foundations? Us. We're gonna birth it. We're the ones with the wombs. We're the ones with the portal of life and death. And I only say that because in the last few days, actually since the 4-4 gateway, with the codes of resurrection and life and death, I have been asked to go into the cosmic womb and understand more and more the death and rebirth cycle, the death and life cycle, the creation process. And although it feels like to me and to some of us that is somewhere out there, we are walking around with an umbilical cord, energetic umbilical cord to the cosmic womb of creation. And the physical representation of that is our womb. And if until we do not honor, appreciate, treasure, start to tune in and anchor down and sit in our womb, quite literally put your hand on your womb and then close your eyes and start to figure out what is going on down there. What does this represent for me? You know, because a lot of the information, like I didn't start on this path. Hi, everyone that's joining. Aloha, aloha. I didn't start on this path like, oh, with the words divine feminine and cosmic womb and creation templates, like that's just language, right? It's not about that. It's understanding that we as women have a responsibility to birth the new realities for the children, for the communities, and even for ourselves. Like sometimes even as women, we only think of other. Oh my God, what is my child going to live in 10 years? What am I living right now, right? They're both just as important. And so it's time now to anchor into our wombs, to activate our creatrix codes, to understand that the spiritual teachings that have been passed on for thousands of years that have been distorted by the inverted patriarchal system, and I can say that because there's just so much proof of what has happened in records, that it's just been distorted, and it's just time to remember. And this is not a fight against what was. This is simply, and it can really be that simple, a remembering of what is. Because you hold everything inside you. Once you start to activate your womb, past, present, and future, yes, they collapse. And they also remain. That's the beauty of this whole mystery of living life on earth. Everything exists, past, present, future, and the collapsing of this now moment. They are both true. But we cannot fake ourselves, especially, please, as a woman. Do not lie to yourself and believe that you can live from the heart up. It cannot happen, and there's a lot happening behind the scenes to make us believe that what is going on down here is irrelevant. And I hope that you're understanding what I'm trying to say. And so now more than ever, there's a need to reclaim an understanding. And by the way, the understanding happens from the inside out. It's not something that, like, I'm not in the mentorship, it's not like I just give it to you and I'm like, this is the truth. Like, I don't have a truth for you. It's inside you. But until you decide to open the books of wisdom within you, right? I can sort of, there's transmissions and there's energy and there's a frequency that was given to me that I picked up through many years of studying many different things. And then eventually, with enough, like a flower, like a plant, like a child, you give it enough nurturing and enough love, and it will give you its fruit. It will show you something new that you did not know and activate a new understanding inside you. That's how this wisdom works. But my whole point with all of this, and I can sort of start to talk about many different things, is we are now merging realities. And this is me coming to you telling you that there's no more separation of my work. I'm not separating the bar from the meditation, from the energetic healing and the cosmic meditations, because the more I separate that, the more division there's going to be out there. And I'm done. I'm done. And now there's a true anchoring, and that's what I've learned through this registration process. I'm so grateful that when I open myself to receive every single time, the wisdom of the feminine is infinite. It's infinite. It will work through you and to you and for you forever once you open to it. Yeah, mahalo, sis. Let me know if this is resonating for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, because, you know, especially as women, it's so important to understand, whether you're into the mentorship or not, just really start to come back into this portal of our womb and understanding that we are the mergers of realities. And if we don't start to make, you know, we've made spirituality this thing that's out there, and that's one of the things that I have always, every time I've landed on Hawaii, there was like this slap in my face of what true spirituality is. And now that I live here, it's like, now it's just speaking to me every single day. And it's not this, we've separated spirituality. We've separated it as if it's some outer earthly, outer cosmic thing, and it's not. It's not, and we are merging, we're bringing back this, it's like you can't even say it, but you have to say it, right? There's this essence of sacredness and spirituality that lives inside our bodies. And you know where it is? It's not from the heart up. It's from our wombs. It's from it's from the base of the spine that connects to the Shakti force, the Kundalini, the energy that rises and is birther of all realities and worlds and creations. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to merge worlds. We're here to make the interdimensional, we're here to make it grounded, practical, and in our bodies. And as a woman, you hold a very specific kind of gift and essence and key to that understanding that you can actually provide to your lover. And there's a very specific and very special kind of interaction and ability for a woman to give to her partner, whatever essence that partner is and holds. And so this is what we're remembering. Not only are we remembering that we're supposed to merge worlds, and we are the vessel that merges worlds, the outer, the inner, but we're also the initiators of the community around us, of our lovers. What is more important than your intimate relationship, your beloved, right? What is more important of a platform than that? And if you're single, what is more important than that platform within yourself, the relationship you have with your own body, whether you want to stay single or you know that you are at some point going to be with another. That platform of sacred union, that is the new template of the new earth. And who do you think is going to give the template of creation and unity in that relationship if you're in a heterosexual relationship? You know, it's all of these things that have been forgotten, let's say, to say it very nicely, that it's just time to remember. And that's a really nice way of saying it. Yeah, so it's time that we merge worlds. You're gonna see that in my work moving forward. This is like the official merging of worlds, merging of all that I do for my sake and for the sake of everyone around me, to understand that if we don't have strong bodies, I don't care what you're doing in your spiritual practice, it don't matter. It just don't matter. And vice versa, right? You can have a beautiful, physical, strong, healthy body with the external around you looking fabulous, like what we've made our lives to be, but your spiritual realms could be distorted, upside down, and, completely trashed. And so as women, when we start to anchor into our wombs and we start to correct the inner realms, and you don't have to do it like, you don't go into meditation like I do, that's just my path. You can do it through your cooking, right? You can do it through the creation of your art for those around you. It's infinite the way that you do it. It expresses through you. But the important part is to understand that we are now the mergers of reality. And we cannot separate the spiritual from the physical, the above from the below. And most important, we have to understand that we're doing that from our womb up. We're not doing that from the heart up. It has to first be anchored in our bodies, right? That's why I had a whole video on descending in order to ascend, right? The necessary understanding that we first need to descend and anchor in order to ascend. And at the same time, it's all happening at once, right? So I hope this has served you. Let me know if you have any questions. And yes, today is the last day to register for the Woman Wisdom Mentorship, which I'm ecstatic about. We're gonna have bi-weekly calls. It's a 3-month immersion. It's an activation of the Creatrix codes. It happens naturally. I don't do it for you. No one can do that to you. But I can tell you that every woman that has graduated the program, that has committed fully to the experience, has come out on the other side, birthing projects, creations, things that they didn't even know that they wanted to do. Because we don't know what's possible until we open ourselves and have the courage to anchor in. The things that are being created and birthed through me, I don't choose them. You know, I didn't choose to create a mentorship. It's just like, this is your job. This is what I need you to do, right? The feminine moves through you and activates the creatrix codes, and then you're like, whoo, right? That's the definition of surrender. You're not surrendering to life and becoming a blah, right? And just meditating. That's not the definition of surrender. Surrendering is understanding that you are in full service of something else, and when you are in service, you are put to work. That's surrender. Surrendering is not, I'm going to step away from my life and give up all things, right? That definition no longer works in our world. It's not going to work where we're going. So yeah, I'm really excited to be sharing all of this goodness of the Divine Feminine in the Woman Wisdom Mentorship 3-month immersion. And I've also included the Activate Womb Wellness, which it's a course that's made to be done in 4 weeks, but you have a year access to it. And I've done that because in my process of this awakening and this relationship with the Divine Feminine, I have come to understand, and I've spoken to far too many women that have no idea how to understand their fertility, no idea how to have natural birth control, are experiencing abortions and miscarriages and not doing anything about them because the system does not break it down and give us a true understanding of what's happening. It's a very physical approach to an abortion and miscarriage. I don't care if you experienced that 30 years ago or you're experiencing it now. There are energetic ripples that occur in our womb, and our womb is connected to our heart. And when we experience those things, those connections and threads are without a doubt ruptured. And it is our job as a woman with a womb to bring those threads back together. It's our job. We do that. There's no medical system that's going to do it for you. Your partner is not going to do it for you. They will definitely be a part of that process, but they're not going to do it for you. So I've created that, and that's like a whole nother discussion. I've created that course so that you can have the tools to feel like, I understand. I understand that the womb has something, right? Fertility, the power of creation, understanding death and rebirth. These things that are inside my body, whether I want to admit to them or not, they've been given to me. And if I'm ready to hold that responsibility, there are things that I need to know, right? It's like these things should have been given to us in middle school, at the start. Anyway, so I've created that course and I'm adding it on for free in the mentorship. And I'm also shipping out the Cyclical Living Planner to all of the women who register so that you can make this a practical, again, it's the merging of worlds. It's the merging of the higher chakras and the lower chakras. But we have to see them as separate first before we can ever come to an understanding that they will one day collapse and become one, right? And there's a process to that, and it's not easy. It's the human experience, right? So the Cyclical Living Planner makes it so that you have a practical routine, an easy way. For me, yeah, I forget sometimes. But when I come to my bed at night and I lay down and I see my planner next to my bed, it's such an amazing reminder. Oh yeah, this is the insight that I got today. This was my cervical fluid. This is the food that I ate. Oh, look at that. There's a correlation between my emotions and my food and my inner season. Amazing, right? Something like that to me feels so simple now, but when I first started it, it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing. And this is the merging of worlds. It's not done in meditation. It's not done in the day-to-day. We are living it, and it's a responsibility that we are given and we need to assume. So, I'm guessing this is landing well for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, just really, really happy to be merging worlds, merging the above and the below, merging realities within our bodies and within our wombs with the women that are showing up for this, and just for all of you who are listening right now. All right, sending you so much love and looking forward to sharing all the good bar stuff that I was sharing on Bar and Temple. Will now forward be sharing it on this private account, because that's just what it is. It's all of me, and that's all there is. So sending you lots of love for this new moon. Resurrection codes are still here. Like, they're very, very strong, right? You could see like there's a lot of death and rebirth happening. We're living it. So it doesn't matter what you celebrate. The point is that, you know, when we talk about the language of the universe, there's no judgment on what you believe. There really isn't. It doesn't matter. You're gonna live it regardless. Whatever label, whatever color you want to put on it. So let me know if you're experiencing some of these resurrection codes, the death and rebirth cycle in your own life, in your relationships, and like the way that you're approaching the world and how you're moving and where you're being asked to put your energy these days. It's really, really important to notice, what are you putting your energy into? What are you feeding into? Because what you feed into is going to feed you back. So just be very mindful of that at this time, because as the templates shift, right, and behind the scenes and within our bodies, there's more responsibility and more power that we hold. So it's really important to focus your energy. Direct your energy to where you want it to go, and what you believe in your soul aligns to you. So important. Get clear on what aligns to you. Okay, my friends and family, I love you. I look forward to hearing from you and sharing all this good stuff. I have so much awesome content that I'm going to be sharing with you. A lot more on grounding into the body and getting physical and working out and all the goodness, yeah? It's springtime, so create, connect, allow yourself to activate these creatures codes inside you, especially, you know, if you're a woman. Tap in, tune in, see what's wanting to be birthed within you. Maybe it's time for you to sort of align and be like, what do I really want to create, right? Like, oh, I got to birth this into the world. What is it, you know? And it's not a push. When you are creating and activating your creatures codes, you know that they're creatures codes because of the following, and I'll finish with this. Ooh, my toes. You know that you're activating your creatures codes because you're not choosing what you create. It's not like you wake up one day and you be like, ooh, you know what would be really cool to create this course about. It doesn't work that way. You're just like in your day-to-day experience. Hola, Jessie. You're in your day. Jessie, by the way, is a graduate from the last mentorship, and she birthed into being a book for kids. So congrats on that. You can reach out to her if you have any questions about it. Yeah, you know, and this is the perfect example, actually, so divinely orchestrated. Thank you. When you have your creators codes activated, and I'm going to finish with this, you are in service to creation. You are in service to the divine feminine. It doesn't matter what body it doesn't matter the vehicle of your body. You could be man, woman, child. It doesn't matter what gender. You could be nothing, right? You are in service to the feminine mystery of creation, right? So this work is not gender-based, by the way. I want to be very, very clear on that. Yes, there is an aspect of literally physically carrying a womb, but now I'm talking about at some point activating the creator's codes. So you're in service to the feminine. She tells you what will be birthed. And when you say yes, it'll be created within hours, within days. It'll be created so fast that you won't even be able to understand how it happened. That's how you know. that's how you know. It just, it streams through you because you then become in service to the creation, the mystery codes of the feminine. And that's one of the things that is that I'm seeing with the women that complete the mentorship process, is that this code, because I'm so intimately sort of working with that, it's sort of like a platform to provide that to women. So the creations codes are activated and then creations blossom. Okay, so I'm gonna leave with that. Mahalo to everyone. Thank you. Gracias por estar acá conmigo. Los quiero muchísimo. I love you so much, so much, so much. I'm gonna go film bar class now. And yeah, would love to hear from you guys. Blessings. Los quiero. Ciao, ciao.